We're the Zezulkas, and this is our story.
Lita is spunky and sassy. Marshall can be very, very snuggly, especially when she's just taking a nap. She would want to snuggle up all with you. If you're hot, you're like, ah. Kai is shy around new people. It takes him a little while to get used to the people, but he loves learning. He loves bugs. I'm like, what? Mom is a beautiful woman. She is kind, she is loving, and she is a great cook. Dad, he is, let's just say, a dad. And lastly, I say I'm spunky, I have a little bit of sass, and I have to be honest, I love to dress up.
I felt like if I ever fostered, I would get too attached, and then I would be heartbroken when the kids left. And so kind of made a vow in my heart, and we kind of, ruled it out together that fostering wouldn't be for us. However, we were put in touch with some people who were fostering, and I got to have a really honest conversation with the woman and, said that line, and she really challenged me on it. She said, we're adults and we have Christ. We're the most equipped to deal with heartache, not children. And that really kind of started our journey.
And after being challenged by that friend, we began to look into things a little bit more. We joined a small group at our church, and we began seeing people living out this life of fostering and adopting. And shortly after that, we went to a training and heard some staggering statistics that there were something like 250 kids in our area in foster care and only 11 homes open. We didn't really feel ready to be parents. We didn't feel like we were equipped, but we thought we can provide love and shelter and food. And so...
Yeah, we figured just that we'd be better than nothing.
Yeah.
Our home opened, and we had said that we could take in one child. We figured that was a good place to start. So we got a call for a 5-month-old baby boy who is our Kai. And really soon after that, we found out about his older sister, Ivy, who is in another foster home close to us. And a little while after that, we found out that birth mom was pregnant with who would be our Lita. And so we figured out pretty quickly that sometimes when you are fostering and say yes to one child, you're actually saying yes to 3.
So at this point, we have Kai in our home, and we're adjusting to him, and he's adjusting to us, and we're falling head over heels in love with him. And we're able to work with Ivy's amazing foster parents just down the road to begin getting the kids together and keeping that bond alive. And things are going really well.
And then we get a call from the hospital that birth mom had given birth to Lita, and they ask us, or me I should say, if we will take in Lita too. And so I said yes on the spot without asking Daniel.
Right. No, I would have said yes.
I know. So it worked out fine, but I'm supposed to ask in the future before we, take in a kid. We have the 2 babies, and we're getting together a lot with Ivy, and we just love her so much. And it was always our desire for her to move in with us and be a part of our, foster family. But we kept being told that it wasn't a good place in the case for her to move in. But thankfully, after a few months after Lita was born, we were told that the timing was right and that Ivy could move in with us. And so we were so thankful for that. But we were very nervous about how that would go for Ivy. Would she, feel happy about that? Would she feel okay? you know.
Yeah, I mean, as Paige said, we were nervous. We didn't know if it was going to be a difficult transition for her. And that first night, we were going through her bedtime routine, and she asked if she could call us mom and dad, and that blew us away. And the next night, she asked if she could stay forever.
When I first moved in with my now mom and dad, I felt like their little princess.
I mean, it's incredible that it was such a smooth transition. You know, that's a credit to the Lord, to prayers, and to, you know, her previous foster parents, Leah and Rachel Brannon. You know, they prepared her and made it that it was going to be a good thing for her.
Yeah? Careful, Kai.
This time period was super fun, super crazy, super hard. I mean, that's kind of fostering, you know.
Yeah, it's a big mixed bag of emotions.
Yeah, we had 2 babies, and Kai was sick all the time. I was sick all the time. We also had, Ivy had just moved in, and we're getting used to caring for her diabetes. You know, so all that was like a lot. But I think, you know, it was also crazy just, we had 5 birth parent visits a week. We had, you know, caseworkers, CASAs, just all these people always just showing up at the house whenever. You know, it felt like a revolving door of people all the time.
Really, the hardest part about the whole process was this looming uncertainty that you feel, you know, about our family, the future of the kids. And this is really true no matter what your circumstances are. We have no control, but we tend to run towards things that make us feel safe and secure. And throughout this process, we just knew that we weren't in control and that we had to really rely on God and trust in Him. And
yeah, it was, you know, just realizing we had to hold the kids with an open hand. And really that's any parent, but in foster care, it's just so, you know, it's so clear, you know, that we are not in control, and having to give them up, you know, to God and their futures. You know, it was a daily, sometimes hourly, minutely battle to, you know, submit to Him and His will.
yeah, in hindsight, it was really hard. But you can see God's plan weaving throughout the whole thing. And really, in those moments when we're just feeling down, feeling discouraged, God is showing how close to us He really is. And so we are so much better off having that experience with Him and experiencing this, knowing that He loves us, He loves these kids, and He's got it.
Some of the hard parts about foster care was that, like, I was sad that I wasn't with my birth mom, and that, like, I was just unsafe there, and, like, I didn't know Jesus when I was with my birth mom.
I see the tears sitting on your cheeks. I know you're tired.
When we signed up for foster care, we knew that our first placement could take a while. You never really know, how long each placement is going to last. But as 1 year became 2 and 2 years became 3, with all the ups and downs, it was more than we realized we signed up for.
When it reached around like year 2.5, I remember, just being so discouraged and praying like the most desperate prayer of my life, to the Lord, just that I couldn't take it anymore, that, I needed to know, the kids needed to know what was going to happen.
The weight of the world is getting too heavy. Give it to Jesus. His arms are steady.
God, in His mercy, answered that prayer of desperation. You know, a little while later, we found out that the mediation was successful and that we were going to be able to adopt all 3 kids. And that was the biggest relief.
Yeah, I remember looking at our kids and our family through an entirely different lens and thinking, you know, we're going to get to, Lord willing, watch our kids grow up.
We are so ecstatic, feeling this huge sense of peace. And then we realized we're going to get to tell Ivy this news. You know, this is something that she has been praying for and hoping for as well. And God has answered her prayers.
All right, well, there's one more gift.
We have one more gift.
It's not from Grammy, but it's another gift. Why don't you careful open it up. There we go. I want you to read it. Read it out loud.
My new name will be Ivy Abigail Zezulka.
Let's flip it over.
I'm going to be adopted.
We love you, sweetheart. We'll always be your
I
parents.
love you so much. I love you.
We love you, sweetheart. We'll always be your parents. Okay? We'll always be your parents.
I get to take care of you, protect you, and Kylie's too. Love you so much.
I was feeling nervous, extremely nervous, because I've never been into court before, and I've never met a judge, and there's just so much pressure for me. I was like, oh no, are they gonna cancel it at the last moment and I won't be adopted? When it was finalized, I was just I was just relieved that it was all over. It can't take us away now.
'Cause you are mending the broken hearted. You are making all things new. And you're rebuilding out of the ruins a city of hope with the ones you love. Adoption is our heritage.
There were so many times throughout the process that I wondered, God, are you here? Do you hear my prayers? Are you listening? Do you love us? Do you love these kids? And I mean, those questions now seem so crazy because...
Yeah, I mean, it's so clear he was orchestrating everything, not just over those 3 years, but when we were in college, when we were 20 years old, our first daughter, Ivy, was born. It just took us, 7 years later to meet her, and then, a couple years after that till we could adopt her.
Yeah, I never would have imagined in college that this would be the path that God would lead me down. I could have never seen it coming. But I'm so glad that he did.
So I have some health problems that started 12 years ago, and Ivy has diabetes. And the one night she and I were just having a talk, and I was telling her that because of Crohn's, I with complications wasn't able to have biological children, but because of that led us on the path to adoption, which led us on the path to fostering. And she turned to me with this excited face and said, Mom, God gave you Crohn's because he knew you needed to be my mom. And it was just the most, healing, incredible thing, because I knew that she was so right, that we can't always see what God is working out. It took 12 years for me to see like how perfect his plan was.
I feel like one thing that people need to know is that there is no way that we could have ever done this alone. We had such a huge support team around us, whether it was the Brandons who took care of Ivy so well for 16 months, whether it was the Dykes family who stepped up and took care of Lita for weeks.
I mean, the Rices would take the kids at a moment's notice when I needed to go to the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
The Powsons would step up and, take care of Ivy when I needed help. And the Husseins, they were the head of our care team. And I know they thought they were signing up for probably like a 1-year stint, and it turned into 3. I mean, it was just our whole church family really surrounded us.
So that's the story how God made us a family.